This is meeting. That's what you have to put up with. So, we're here, I think, to hear two requests for variance tonight. And Mr. Collins isn't here, unless you're not Mr. Collins. So let's begin with the property at 261 River Road East. And, roll call. I'm sorry. We'll have a roll call. Attendance first, Jill.
Janet,
Yeah.
Alan,
Here.
Mike,
Here.
Peter,
Here.
and Clara is absent.
Okay, great. And okay, we'll leave it at that. And so let's begin the public hearing portion of the request for a variance at 261 River Road East. And I'm asking anybody to speak to that group. Let's just go.
I'm right next door. I was just talking to Don, but I was wondering how far he was coming toward me. And I said about 10 feet probably from the line.
So do you wanna,
And what is your name?
It's on the drawing.
Is there, can we get a drawing?
I think we have one.
You have a drawing. It's not, 10 foot is the minimal setback on the side property lines, and he's complying with that.
Okay,
So what he's in front of you, the board tonight for, is he wants to go closer to the river on the easterly side, correct? Easterly side of the property.
Which would be.
He just kind of wants to square off the deck,
okay. Well, it's going away from east is, you know.
away from you,
Yeah.
but, right.
I have no problem.
And this is the place where you started to work on the.
Yes.
Started to work on it and this issue, made you change your mind about.
Yeah, we
The,
realized that the old camp wasn't suitable to build next to or over top of.
Well, as a person who was by there every day, I was kind of wondering why you stopped working on it.
You got
Okay, okay, so I guess that's, is there any of the board members have any questions? or
Oh,
comments?
so you're gonna take that, the camp that's existing there, that's coming down.
Yeah.
And it's all gonna be, you know,
Well.
Yeah.
I just wanna say one thing, I talked to Greg this morning, he said it was all leaning towards the river, the old camp, and that was another good reason to.
Well, it's gravity's pulling it towards the river, yeah, essentially.
But you said it was leaning to, right?
Yeah, well, all the posts underneath, it's moved probably about 2.5 inches, so the posts are starting to tip,
Yeah,
which
okay,
is just wanting it to go even more.
But now, is that the original, about the original structure was, without the deck?
Let me see. Yeah, that's the original footprint of the dot.
Oh, okay.
The dotted line is the original old camp. So
Okay.
we're a little bit this way compared to what it was.
Okay,
And then this is where the old porch was, so it was actually back in here where the railing and stuff was. So like, this is our little known, but the deck is.
yeah.
And then this corner here, we're probably gonna need a concrete wall or something, here goes a hole out in there. But that's gonna be down the ground,
Okay.
and there'll be this little walkway around here, which is like 4 feet deck.
Yeah.
it's just going to considerable. That being on top of the ledge,
It's actually not on top of the ledge, the ledge is to the back of the property.
the whole thing's on the other side.
Yeah, the whole thing's on the other side
Okay.
of the ledge, really, yeah, it drops down.
Yeah,
You're okay, John, with that?
So where do you take the high water out here?
The high water mark was or surveyed and established over on the corner, right on that tree, right over here. The high water mark is, right here. That's marked as the high water mark on the westerly water side. He did have it surveyed and they did.
So-
mark out the high
So
water.
this line represents the high water mark,
Yep,
and this is where he's gonna go over the high
this
water
is the
mark.
actual structure here.
Yeah,
This is a concrete abutment that is in the water already. All right. So
but I,
what
I
you
looked at it, I didn't understand what I was looking at.
yeah, and the way you do it makes you look twice a couple times, but I think it's because of the angle. But what Al's showing us here, if the board members are at all, is this part of the deck here is gonna come out 3 additional feet across. Okay? If you, I don't know if you can see that, you want me to show you? You got it? All right, so, the dotted line is what the existing camp is on that
Right.
drawing that you're seeing. And then, you can see from his renditions of it, that this deck is coming around, which is above. It's not continuous down to it, but yeah. Okay? How high is this deck?
Is that accurate? It's gonna be about the same.
Probably 12 feet off that line, isn't it? Up? Probably 12 feet, that upper deck there we're talking about.
Off of the.
Off the bottom of the concrete,
Down there, yeah, probably close to it.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the same, pretty much the same, say, 11 few inches.
Okay, any more comments, or questions by the board? Okay, well, we'll close the public hearing part of this and go to the meeting where we actually consider it. And it's my understanding that you go through this list, for your area variance. And the questions that need to be answered are, is there an undesirable change that will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby property will be created by granting the variance? Think to me, no.
Yeah,
Okay. The benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than a variance. Yes, again, the answer is no. The requested variance is substantial. You have to go yes, I guess, on
I don't know. I'm sorry.
that. Pardon me?
I don't think it's substantial because we've already granted,
Not compared to some other ones.
yes,
Okay.
so I'm just saying.
But the question that you would ask is it substantial to the requirement of the code, which is 30 feet?
Oh,
Well, that's always gonna be yes, right?
Well,
yeah,
it's,
well, I guess.
it's quite a difference, right? We're talking about lowering it to 3 or 2 and stuff like that. So I think we have to say yes there, but probably, with the stipulation that it's probably necessary as well. The proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. I think definitely no. The alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision, but shall not necessarily preclude granting the variance. And say no to that as well. So is the board okay with those? That summary? Okay, now do we go through the environmental thing now as well? So we have,
So you can handle that how you want, the real intent, I've said this a few times,
yeah,
and it doesn't seem to stick very well, but the
well,
real intent of me giving every board member a copy of the environmental is that gives you a chance to answer, part 2, gives you a chance to answer it before the meeting. And if you wanted to shorten up, if the chairman wanted to shorten up
Yeah.
that whole process rather than reading every single one of them, you could all simply state that you've read it and you either declare a negative declaration and sign it and hand it to them. Or if you desire, Peter, you can go through and read each one.
yeah, no, I prefer not to read each one. I think The board's very familiar with this. I think everybody has a copy of it, and there are 11 questions. And I think I would ask the board if they agree that we should say no or small impact to each one of them
I,
in this case.
I think, no, everything.
Yeah. No, so no to everything? Okay, do we need a motion for that effect? Craig?
You can if you'd like.
Yeah, let's, could somebody make a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to the fact that it's no to all of the environmental.
Okay, moved by Janet, is there a second?
Starter.
Any discussion? Can we do a roll call vote on this, I guess? Yeah.
Janet,
Yes,
Alan.
Yeah.
Mike,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes. Okay, now on the issuance of the variance itself, there's no more discussion. I've entertained a motion to consider the variance.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Everybody's not gonna do it, I'll make.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening, I was reading.
That's okay. So moved by Janet that we approve the variance at 261 River Road East. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Michael. Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Janet,
Yes,
Alan,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes. Okay, so I guess that concludes that one. Thank you, gentlemen,
Okay, thank you.
very much. And the second, request for variance, is by John and Christina Collins at 6 Pine Point, Morristown. And apparently no one's here to discuss that, but I think we still need to open the public hearing. And so we will open the public hearing on 6 Pine Point, Morristown. Any public comment? Hearing none. We will move directly to.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we did receive 2 letters, in support of the, from the public. I should probably enter those in, now. So I did receive one from Matt Ziegel. We're neighbors of John and Christy Collins. Our cottage is located at 1 Pine Point. We are very familiar with this boathouse project and the request for an area variance. We fully support both the project and the request for the variance. And then the second one was from Joel Hennebrink at 8 Pine Point Drive. And his comment is, as an adjacent property owner, I have reviewed this request and have no objections. So both neighbors have sent letters in support of it.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, so I guess having read those letters into minutes, we will close the public hearing and open the meeting portion to consider the variance for 6 Pine Point, Morristown. The board have any discussion or questions about this one?
No, I was just curious. How the point is he raising it from the deck that were permitted?
So originally, I don't know if you were here, Mike, when I was telling, but originally, Mr. Collins, for the record, has a permit, an active permit for this boathouse that was issued prior to the new ordinance update, which requires all boathouses to go in front of the planning board for review. So he got by that process and he's working under the old standards of the ordinance, which limited a boathouse to be no longer than 35 feet. So he has a 35 by 35 structure that was originally permitted to have a deck on the top of the roof. With no overhangs, just railings, and actually, if I recall, it was like a glass scenario. He's since changed his approach to the boathouse, and now he wants to put a peak roof on it. With overhangs of 3 feet on the outsides of it to cover the decking of the dock. It won't be any higher, I'm pretty sure our ordinance requires that it can't be any higher than 15 feet in height. So it'll be a low pitched roof. He will have to stay, he's not applying for any height modification. So yeah, he does have to stay under the old ordinance height, which I'm pretty sure it was 15 if my memory serves me. So,
Okay, I was just wondering. Yeah. And the angles of those lots there are pretty steep. So I was wondering what it would do for view only.
right,
And apparently the neighbors don't have any problem with it, stuff I don't did. So,
he's in the bay, portion of it. So
Sits back.
yeah.
it sits back in as
Yeah.
far as most any of them in there.
You know, what I showed you,
Yeah.
Mike, is from this other cottage.
I went out and looked at it. I didn't fall out of that hill, but I went out and looked over it.
It's quite a hill.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know where it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's a big boathouse.
Yeah.
It's a big boathouse. It looks like it'll be nicely constructed from the drawings that I have, but I think you got some renditions in there.
Yeah, there's a,
But
They have to be engineered, right?
yeah, it has to, it's engineered, right?
So evidently it's,
There has to be a,
the foundations there. to support
there has to be an engineer analysis of the structural foundation.
Well,
To ensure that it'll hold it.
was that done? Did they
Yes.
redo that?
Yeah, the dock is new, is brand new as well. And,
Well,
yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder if they, when they decided to go extra 6 feet width wise with roof. Whether
The
they
boat,
had to go back and have that checked by the engineers.
the boathouse, physical footprint hasn't changed, it's only the roof footprint. The
Yeah.
roof is the overhang.
I know, but it's still, that's what carries the weight on the
Yeah, it
foundation.
dissipates it differently, it actually might help in the sense that the deck would probably hold snow all winter long, where this shouldn't hold much snow, but, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just curious whether they had to go back. Increase the size of the roof to get engineer.
It's a good point, I haven't asked him to do that, I haven't asked him to do that, to be honest with you. But it is a good point, that, you know, it does add some. It does add some weight on it, I suppose, but those are all steel piled docks that he's got in there, generally. My neighbor has one and he drives his excavator on it.
Well, it should be good enough.
Literally, he drives his
Yeah.
excavator on it.
No, I mean, I'm not asking the question as to make them do it, I was
No,
just
no,
asking if that's something you had to do.
yeah,
When you ask for
it's probably not a bad point that I can have him have his engineer just give a statement that the added load is still. I fully suspect he's gonna come back and it's fine, but yeah, it's a good point taken, and I'll have a discussion with John about that.
we have to do some technical now that.
Well, you know, boathouses ought to be, there ought to be another level of scrutiny on a boathouse. Because, you know, if they start falling down, it's not an easy thing to, you know, and look at some of these old boathouses that you see on some lakes and other places that are just caving into the water body because they weren't built well.
I mean, going back in history, we don't get the ice movement that we used to
Right.
get, 40 years ago. I mean, 40 years ago, I don't care which put up there, it didn't stay.
Yeah.
50 years ago, when that ice went out, it just ripped everything.
What else?
This, you know, like the ice breakers going on through this spring. You know.
It was a smooth ride, wasn't it?
We're putting a lot of overtime.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments about this? If not, let me go through the questions then. Ask the question, is there an undesirable change that will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties that will be created by granting the variance? We say no, particularly given the response of the neighbors. The benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the variance. I would say no. The requested variance is substantial. Again, given that it's decided that he's operating under the old code, I would say no. The proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. No. The alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision, but shall not necessarily preclude granting the variance. I would say no. I guess we should have asked after each one of these if anybody disagrees with that, but
we'll speak up.
yeah, I hope you won't be shy. So I think we're okay there. Secondly, did the board have the opportunity to review the environmental assessment questions? There are 11 questions. And I would ask, it seems to me we can answer all those questions, no or minimal impact. But if a board member has an objection to that, I hope they would raise that now.
Well, fine.
Okay, then I entertain a motion to indicate no or minimal impact on the 11 questions for the environmental assessment. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Michael. Also, seconded by Alan. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Janet,
Yes,
Alan.
Yeah.
Mike,
Yes,
Peter,
Yes. Okay, so passes and turning to the main issue of the variance itself. Where we're asking to change from 35 feet to 41 feet. The width of the boathouse, I would entertain a motion to approve that variance.
I'll make a motion, we approve the variance.
Okay, moved by Alan,
I'll second it.
seconded by Janet. Discussion. No discussion, have a roll call vote, please.
Janet,
Yes,
Alan.
Yeah.
Mike,
yes,
Peter,
Yes.
approved. Approved.
Okay, good job, Alan. Is there any other business in your old or new that should be coming? You have anything to update us?
I have nothing for you.
Okay.
Other than the next zoning board meeting, Greg won't be here. Right? Oh, yeah, you will, April.
If we have one, right now, I don't know that we have any people in front of, ready to come in front of us.
You would still be here anyway,
Right.
but we
I'd
have a
still
new
be-
code officer.
Right,
So, and remind us when the new code officer is actually starting?
April 23rd. I'm done May 9th. She's gonna shadow me for 2 weeks. And a week and a half. And,
Perfect.
She
Yeah.
has experience with zoning boards. She's done them in Potsdam, so hopefully she'll be able to help you in anything you need.
Now, who's this?
Lisa Newby, Thomas. Yeah. So,
Great. We'll miss you.
thank you.
If anything gets really tough, we'll call you back in
Sure.
immediately.
Consulting fees are always great.
we
And
know where you live.
yeah, the only thing I have to add is I'd just like to formally raise the issue of whether we should be approving the minutes, and I think Greg has indicated he'll talk with somebody at the county about it and
I will.
Well,
consider
couldn't
that.
she just put the minutes in our packets?
She could.
Mhm.
The only question I have legally to ask, that I wanna ask for a legal interpretation of it from Keith Zimmerman, he's the county planning board, kind of the guy I go to if I have questions about things, is if somebody were to file an Article 78, there is a time frame that a person has to do that from the approved, I think it goes from the approved variance. But does it go from the approved variance or if we had it from the approved minutes? And the only thing that would be a problem with that is if you don't have regularly meetings, if it goes 2 months or something like that before the board meets again, it could be a long time before your minutes would get approved and somebody could actually file an Article 78. So I'm gonna ask for some clarification on that. And we'll get back to you on that.
So can an Article 78 be filed by the person who we denied the variance to? I assume,
Or it can be filed by anybody.
or the person most likely
Anybody that's agreed by it.
nearby who didn't
Yeah.
like what we did,
Right.
or maybe not.
Yeah, I've only had one, that I've ever dealt with, that was an Article 78 proceeding. And, the person didn't have, good luck in winning it. Because the board had actually gone through the 4, 5 criteria of that area variance. And explained that, you know, they felt
Yeah,
that they were meeting those criteria. So when the judge reviewed it, they basically said, it sounds like the board has talked about this, they've discussed it, and they made a vote, which is your decision, you know, whether it's nay or yay, it's your personal thought, and that's what you're here for.
yeah, as long as we follow the proper.
As long as you follow the
procedure.
format, I think they go pretty good. I mean, people can always look for any kind of cracks in that, but you didn't do, but, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. It's good to.
These and to Joe.
Pardon?
You have to sign
Okay,
one of these and give it to Joe.
I can do that. Okay, any other business? There's a move to adjournment. Thank you, Janet. You're needed.
Timely and very efficient.
Yeah,
Good job.
I'm fast. I may not be any good. but-
Well, you've got some experience with it, so obviously it played into it.
Yeah, here's.
Well, meeting's over.
So,
I'm sure you told me the other day that you
I'll
could
be
do
your.
2
I appreciate
it. About 1 meeting.
Subdivision.
Some churches got one.
Yeah,
We could do up to 2. or something like that. Before it had to go to.
yeah, I think if you look in the ordinance,
I'm not-
I mean, define this minimal and major subdivision, minor and major subdivision.
But
I think it's up to 3 parcel can happen without
I
going
like
to
it.
planning board,
I
so.
know that sounds.
It keeps you.
Okay, so it's not like a.
No, it's not.
Price
Today is-
Only because they did it the last
Yeah.
2 weeks.
And I think
Ah.
it stops, if I recall.
So what is
Stop.
stopping over today is the 20?
And after that, you could have to go in front of the board.
Considered a major subdivision.
I see.
Good. Yeah. Get anywhere with that, or?
Well, the kids are over tonight, I think. I think it's something we're gonna do.
Mhm.